We're back for another certified hood banger. Today, we're going to be going over fighters who would knock out my favorite fighters. So, from 125 all the way up to heavyweight, we're going to talk about my favorite fighter in each division and a guy who I think that would knock them out. I got that boy Freddy Fazbear on my chest, come on. That boy Freddy Fazbear on my shirt. I feel like this shirt goes hard, bro. I copped it as soon as I saw it. Anyways, my favorite fighters at 125. It's only one that I'm going to mention per weight class. So this selection is going to be Joshua Van. Joshua Van is my homie, bro. He's my favorite fighter at flyweight. I like it whenever he fights. I think he's a technically gifted fighter at flyweight. He has some asterisks next to his name, though, in terms of his durability, and has been knocked out by Charles Johnson pretty badly. But he managed to bounce back against Edgar Chairez in his next fight, the Sphere against Omalley, or at the Sphere in the Omalley versus Merab, that card, you know. UFC Noche. Royval low-key sleeps this guy. It's just that long, wiry offense that Johnson made. Like, the range way too awkward for Joshua Van to enter and to set up his boxing from, you know. The range was just always being so controlled by just the long arms of Johnson and the kicks as well, which work wonders for Royval in his fights, as we just saw against Tatsuro Taira. Joshua Van likes to punch to the body, and he likes to set up his combos with body shots, which is not like the greatest proclivity to have, because it does leave you open to a lot of shots if you're like punching low to start and entering range with your hands down, your lead head down especially. He was paying for that. So Johnson was, again, just making the space. Like, he was seeing everything. So Joshua Van would literally enter with his hands down, try to punch him in the body, and Johnson would just return a straight right at his head, and it would just hit him every time. So Royval has good grappling, which he could probably rip Van in half with, but he also does have some pretty spicy striking with high volume and a pretty diverse set of moves. Royval is like a flyweight Max Holloway, the way that I see him. He could fight Pantoja 4 more times probably and lose every single rematch, but he'll keep on smoking contenders under a dominant champion that nobody can mess with, and that's Pantoja. So I like Royval, but he's not my favorite because he'll never be champ. I'm not saying that Joshua Van could be champion, but he has a lot of time, you know. I'm sure he's been flatline KO'd, but he's very young still and can get better to the point where he could beat Pantoja eventually. So he just has to pace himself and not fight Royval anytime soon, because he will get knocked out. I could see the step-in knee being there for Royval too, and Van getting ate up with the high volume after getting hurt and then flatlined again. So I don't want to see that happen. Hopefully they never get scheduled, at least for like the next 2 or 3 years, bro. Joshua Van has a lot more like maturing to do, but I like him and I'm riding with him. So that's my boy, my favorite fighter. At bantamweight, my favorite fighter is none other than Sean O'Malley, dude. I don't know why I like him, I just do, bro. People think he's corny, I agree, but the fighting style it's something like I've never seen before at 135. He's such a dynamic striker. It's my favorite bantamweight, like I just said. And before, I would talk hot, bro, and I would say Ilia Topuria versus Sean O'Malley was the fight to make, bro, because I used to think it was competitive, but he low-key gets folded by Ilia Topuria, bro. Like, bad. It's high-key, bro. But on some more, like, reserve stuff, I think that Davison Figueiredo probably knocks out Sean O'Malley. And I have this weird feeling that, like, he hits crazy hard and that he doesn't lose much power moving from flyweight to bantamweight. I think that Figgy planning on his shots like Jan and then clipping O'Malley on the jaw repeatedly will lead to Sean O'Malley getting knocked out. And the power that Figgy possesses mixed with the grappling and durability makes him incredibly dangerous. So he could drown O'Malley on the floor from the start of the first bell to the end of the fight. But I think he'll begin to let his hands go once he's made like grappling exchanges long and grindy and starts fatiguing O'Malley. Sean O'Malley doesn't really gas out that often, but he was definitely tired at the end of the Merab fight, you know. And at that point where Merab had him that fatigued, Figgy would just break his posture from the takedown and just stand up and start hitting him, dude. And I really feel like he could knock him out in one of these sequences. I could visualize exactly the way it would go down. So I'm excited, dude, if this fight gets made. I think they're probably going to go with Sandhagen versus O'Malley, which is another fight that I'm not mad at. But there's no knockout threat there, except for O'Malley having the threat over Corey Sandhagen, which we're all rooting for. But we got to throw that boy Davison Figueiredo a bone eventually, because he's been winning a lot. So he can't just be doing that for nothing. We got to get him a big fight. I think this is going to be it. I think he probably sleeves Sean O'Malley. But I'm an O'Malley fanboy, so I want to test him. I'm not for sure sold on the idea that Davison Figueiredo definitely knocks out Sean O'Malley. I just have this weird feeling that he probably does. So I want to see it. And I'm still going to choose O'Malley to win. But that's probably the biggest threat to him in this division. We're going to move on to 145. My favorite fighter is who else but Ilia Topuria, bro. And I've been on this Ilia Topuria train since before the first Volk fight, dude. So, because apparently there's going to be another Volk fight. All right, if you say so. I'm not going to glaze him, but I mean, I already kind of did. But I think the simple fact is like, Ilia Topuria probably sleeps all contenders from the 135 division all the way up to the 155 division, champions included. And he can dub over some welterweights too. He could knock out some welterweights. So I think that a fighter that can knock him out for sure. And dude, I'm cherry picking, dude, because I have to. It's literally, I'm gonna choose Shavkat. Shavkat is a fighter who I think could knock out Ilia Topuria, the 5'6", 145er. Everyone else kind of is like, I don't really know. Ilia Topuria might just knock out Francis Ngannou. I mean, I'm being hyperbolic at this point, dude, but like, whenever you factor the grappling as well, like, I'm not sure if Carlos Prates beats Ilia Topuria. If they're fighting for their lives, that's another thing, but in a cage, dude, I really don't know. I really don't know. Because I would have said Carlos Prates, but I don't know. I really think Ilia Topuria would beat Gilbert Burns. And I think that fighters like Leon Edwards versus Ian Gary, Leon Edwards, I think they're going to be too large for Ilia, but he has a good fight with each of those guys, bro, and they probably only beat him by decision. So this is just a testament to Ilia Topuria being such a special talent in MMA, and what is needed is a mighty practitioner of all of the mixed martial arts who can hit as hard as he can and can wrestle to a high level too, and that's Shavkat. So anyone else that I'd mention, I feel like he'd expose on the ground maybe, or likely only win a decision over, like, when it, like, you know, I would say like Ian Gary, maybe Michael Morales, you could throw him in there too. Michael Morales might be a more complete fighter than Carlos Prates, even though he's probably a lesser striker. I feel like he would probably beat Ilia Topuria, Michael Morales, and Leon Edwards would probably beat Ilia Topuria too, but they'd all probably do it by decision. I don't think they'd knock him out. So we literally need to get Shavkat. Like, everyone else, it's literally like a hydrogen bomb versus a coughing baby. So that takes us on to 155. My favorite fighter in this division is Islam Makachev. He has been my favorite fighter in this division. Again, I chose him over Volk. I chose him over Volk the second time. He said he was going to put on his best performance, and I even favored the knockout in that rematch. I mean, I wasn't doing any of this, so it's not on record, but I was there, bro. My homies who play Xbox with me, they know I was right there, so guess that's all that matters. Topuria, bro. He said he'd be the first person to sub Islam. And honestly, I don't doubt that he can. Which is crazy, because I love Makachev, and I'm a glazer of his. But Volk was doing him bad in their first fight in Australia. And the only thing that was keeping Makachev from being folded in that matchup was the fact that Volk doesn't have, like, very significant power. He hits hard, yeah, and he drops a lot of fighters, but he doesn't have, like we don't know him for having just, like, starch, brutal KO power. Like, Josh Emmett is more known for that than Volkanovski is. So he hits hard, but not that hard. The punch to drop Islam in the 5th round of the first fight in Australia, it knocks him out if Ilia throws it. Islam Makachev does not get back up after that. Or it hurts him so badly that he lays there in turtle and just gets submitted. And I feel like Ilia is a fighter that I believe in so much. So I think he'll do everything that he says. And he may even exceed my own expectations for him, which are already higher than I place on pretty much any other fighter. So no one is safe from Topuria. He'll whoop any champion or contender 135 to 155. We literally need Shavkat to beat him. He needs He needs to go up to like welterweight and fight at welterweight in order to have rival matchups, which is absolutely ludicrous. So that takes us on to welterweight. And my favorite fighter in this weight class right now, I mean, it kind of varies just because this is my favorite weight class due to the constant amount of talent that's in it. Joaquin Buckley is going to be the man of the hour for me at welterweight. He's a weird case of a fighter who didn't really realize his full potential until he went down to welterweight. So whenever he fights at 170, he doesn't suffer from the same problems that he faced at 185. As a small and less powerful middleweight with underpowered cardio, he used to get really tired. But whenever he fights at 170, he is heavy-handed, and he now shows that he doesn't get tired even if he uses wrestling to win fights. Now he'll grapple, he'll shoot takedowns. He doesn't get exhausted that easily. Definitely slows down a little bit. He looked a bit fatigued against Wonderboy, but he did what he had to do, you know? Like, he's gonna finish these fights. I think the only person who can strip him of consciousness is someone who isn't afraid to trade in a brawl with Buckley, and someone who is just cleaner than he is in stand-up. So, I mean, I'm saying this right now, but being cleaner than Buckley isn't very hard, because, I mean, it's been done before. Holland was cleaner than Buckley at a time. Alessio Di Chirico, I'm not even sure if he's in the UFC anymore, dude. He found a way to be a slicker striker than Buckley and knocked him out with a high kick. We all watched that happen at middleweight before he moved down. I think that JDM is the one who could put him to sleep. And I think that this would kind of be a one-sided beatdown, but this was the first guy that came to mind. He basically neutered Kevin Holland in their fight because Kevin understood the real danger of standing in the pocket with JDM and trading with him. So, like, he just basically had Kevin Holland on defense survival mode the entire fight because he wasn't trying to win. He was just trying not to get knocked out. And that's like that's how you know that you're a good striker, is if the guy that you're fighting isn't even trying to win the fight at a certain point, he's just trying not to go to sleep. And that's a lot of JDM's opponents. Like, they're fighting back out of necessity. So Holland was smart for averting risk in this fight, since it's very clear that he doesn't care about belts. He would have probably gotten laid out if he engaged Jack Della Maddalena with the intent of hurting him, you know? Buckley is a competitor, though, and he doesn't really care. So I think he'll go to sleep before he puts on a performance he deems going out sad, you know? And that's what's going to get him folded against JDM, is the fact that he's going to try so hard and make the fight so interesting. So Buckley mainly throws 2 or 3 punch combos, and he has massive power. But this level of output mixed with the ability, or lack thereof an ability, to keep himself safe at a range using kicks, it will make the JDM fight hard for him. His only option for preserving himself is panic wrestling, and he's not bad at wrestling. I mean, he can wrestle offensively too, but JDM's counter wrestling is amazing. We saw that in the Gilbert Burns fight. He was still stuffing takedowns and dealing with the aggressive wrestling pressure of Gilbert Burns with a broken arm. And that's the reason why he hasn't been fighting, because his arm is like, it broke so bad. So it's some of the best in the division, I'd say. He won't get grappled, and I don't think he'll get outstruck. So I could see this knockout being vicious and embarrassing for Buckley. That's who I'd choose to knock out my favorite fighter at welterweight. My favorite fighter at 185 is Anthony Hernandez. I was thinking about it, you know? I feel like this was just something that was convenient for the video, because if I would have said somebody like Khamzat or DDP, you know, if I said Khamzat, I'd have to concede that DDP knocks him out if he doesn't get subbed early. And I think that Khamzat subs DDP early. I don't think he gets knocked out in that fight. If I said DDP, then I would have to say that Alex Pereira would be the one, but I don't think that happens either, dude. So I'm going with Anthony Hernandez here because I actually think that I found a match for him that would produce a knockout. And this may confuse some people too. I may be completely wrong, but this is what I think, so I'm just going to say it. He's a hard fighter to knock out due to the aggression that he puts forth and how active he is. He moves constantly, and he's always doing something, you know? He's always attempting something, whether it be wrestling, his striking. He's never just standing chest to chest with his opponent. He's always busy and attempting something and hurting the guy that he's fighting. That's why he's so fun to watch. That's why I like him so much. But I think that Kyle Baralho is the match where he gets knocked out. Kyle Baralho is a contender that is yet to show a ceiling. and has the best win over Paul Craig that anyone has in the division. And I think that he has a special understanding of jiu-jitsu and has a very competent striking skill set, which will prevent him from being dominated by Hernandez. He can use range to finish this fight the same way that Kevin Holland was able to knock out Hernandez. 185 is low-key comp now that we've got some jokers out of the deck, you know? DDP, Strickland, Hamzat, Imavov, Borralho, Charbullet, all of these guys are like chilling towards the top of the division now. RDR joins the fold. And now we have a pretty healthy division with a lot of great fights to be made. And all it took was for Adesanya to give up the belt. Imagine that. So I do think that Kyle Borralho probably knocks out Anthony Hernandez. And that's the fight that I want to see. I honestly do want to see it because I'm not like super confident in it, but I'm sure that would be a smoker. So let's get that fight made. I want to see it. Anthony Hernandez is cranking up to be like an actual boogeyman in this division. So we're going to go on to 205 and start talking about that. And this is the video where I jump ship. If you made it on to this point and you're a Magomed Ankalaev fanboy and you confided in me over the fact that I was a fellow Magomed Ankalaev fanboy, it's over. It's over. And I'm sick of pretending like this is actually what I believe, dude. I can no longer fake this. I used to be part of the camp that believed that Magomed could beat up Alex Pereira, and that if he got Alex in the same spot that Jan did in their fight, that he'd sub him. But I can't keep on getting on here and lying, man. I can't keep doing it to you guys, because I don't think that, bro. This Lummox cannot check a leg kick at all. His leg gets obliterated by everyone he fights. And the funniest part is how I'd cope. Talking about, oh, this time he'll check a kick. And he's going to use his head. And he's going to use his head this time, you know? Because why wouldn't he? He wants to win the belt, right? He wants to fight Alex Pereira. He's going to be smart. He's going to attack subs. He's going to check the low kick, bro. Like, he's going to become a complete MMA fighter, right? Right? No, he doesn't do it, bro. He doesn't do it. And it's like, he cannot check a low kick. And he just gets his leg beat up by Johnny Walker and smudge grapples Rakic even whenever he had like a dozen opportunities to chase a submission, dude. And it's unbelievable. I'm sick of putting my faith in these Matt Frivolas, bro, who look good and they talk like they're about to be on something and they just fold immediately, bro. So Magomed is done in 4 kicks whenever he fights Alex Pereira. And if those kicks don't put him away, he's definitely getting hit by a left hook without shooting a single takedown. And this is going to be unbelievable to watch, dude. And I'm glad that I see the writing on the wall right now instead of being blinded by this hope that I had and then watching it all unfold the way that I'm describing to you now. After just praying that it didn't go this way for so long. I'm just embracing the fact that Alex Pereira is probably going to knock out Magomed. And this is just the world that we live in. Whatever, man. Like, I'm sick of it, bro. I'm definitely in, like, not part of the F Magomed crew now, but I'm definitely going to be realistic with this. Like, let Jamal Hill fight again, bro. Let Jamal Hill get a rematch, bro, for real. I don't even want to see him get knocked out. Like, don't let me go through this. So this is going to take us on to heavyweight, bro. Like, I'm sick of talking about it. I'm in my feelings now. But my favorite heavyweight of all time, I mean, not of all time, but actively in the UFC right now, just because there's not really too many different heavyweights to root for, I'd say Derrick Lewis is probably my favorite. I'm not probably alone in that either. But one thing that I will say is that the sun is setting on the career of the Black Beast. And I'm convinced that he'll keep knocking people out for as long as he fights them, but there is a guy I know who I like for sure would beat him up technically and knock him out, which is not good. And it's the GOAT Mick Parkin, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there probably isn't a contender outside of like Jailton Almeida and Tom Aspinall this dude couldn't beat up, bro. And Aspinall would never fight him since they were like trained together forever. So I think it's funny because he's round. He probably beats Jon Jones. I think that Mick Parkin is actually a really good fighter, and he's certainly my number 1 rated heavyweight. So I hope Derrick Lewis has a graceful decline. Though this sport is very mean to everyone, bro. Look at what happened to me, bro. I hurt my knee. And, like, especially those who reach retirement age at heavier weight classes. It's really mean to those guys, so. He's paid his dues, and he deserves to not take brain damage. So I'm hoping that he continues to get knockouts rather than get knocked out. I never want to see Derrick Lewis get folded again, so I hope he never fights Mick Parkin. That's going to be the list, fellas. Thank you for making it on to this point. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Peace out, man. Take care. Have a good day.